Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC. I'm Christine Alexander in the studio with me, Ale Moreno, Stevie Nicol. All good?
Hi.
Ready? We're ready for the Women's Euros too. We'll be previewing a little bit of that with the really tough news for Spain. The fact that Alexia Putellas will be out for the tournament with a torn ACL. She injured it this morning. But first, Christophe Garcia is the new PSG coach. Here's what he's done in the last few years. At least with Nice, the last season, the Coupe de France runner-up. He was with Lille. He won the Ligue 1 championship in 2021. Of course, previous to that, with Saint-Etienne. And of course, the talk around Neymar was included in his presentation. Here's what he had to say. Neymar is a world-class player. What coach wouldn't want that player in their team? Of course, you have to have a balance, but I'm clear on what I want from him. And I'm sure he'll stay with us because we want the best people here. Now, of course, we have to bring in Julien Laurens, and I have to ask you, Julien, does that mean then that Neymar is staying at Paris?
No, it doesn't mean that. I mean, there was nothing else that Christophe Garcia could have said in his first press conference today at lunchtime. If he had said, yeah, we want Neymar out, we're trying to find a club for Neymar, you could just imagine it would have been fire everywhere. I think he played it well. A bit later on, he said, I really hope he stays because I think Galtier knows that there's also a chance that Neymar won't be there next season. But it was the right thing to say. Neymar turned up for training today a few days early, by the way, which I think is a really good sign from him. And in terms of commitment to the season, doesn't have to be commitment to PSG, but commitment to the season. But for Galtier, there was nothing else he could have said. You know, this was the right answer.
Is this the right answer? Then how tough is it to keep someone on like Neymar, CV, from a coach's perspective?
Well, from Galtier's perspective, right now it's dead easy. And he just showed you why, because it's about what you say. And it's dead easy to talk, as we know. Unfortunately, at some stage, that comes to an end, and you have to produce on the field. And when pre-season starts and when the pre-season games start, Neymar is going to have to produce on the field, because I don't think this guy will take any prisoners. He's certainly going to have to make a statement. We thought that the previous managers, Tuchel's and Pochettino's and everybody before were going to do the same thing and make a statement, and none of them ever did. This guy's going to have to make that statement. And hopefully the statement is he gets people like Neymar to buy into what he's looking for, and it shows on the field. Otherwise, he's going to have to be brave and go the other way and chastise these kids.
It may all be talk, but he did make a couple of statements today in the press conference. And it wasn't specific to Neymar, but he did say, no player is above PSG. Now, that's exactly what you would say in an opening press conference, because indeed, you're trying to make that sort of opening introduction and saying, I am the one who's going to make the decisions. And another thing that I thought was important from the press conference when he said, we have a lot of talented players, but we need to make these talented players into a team. Hinting that they were never a team before under Mauricio Pochettino. Now, again, this is introductions. This is opening statement in a press conference. What value does it have? Not a whole lot if you don't have the backing and the support from the club and from those above you, that the players don't feel like they have the freedom to go above the manager to go and complain and then get away with whatever it is that they want to do. So at the very least, in the beginning, he's making all the right decisions and saying all the right things. But to Stevie's points, all of this will come to pass, and the judgment will come to pass when we start seeing this team winning with consistency. And when they're losing, what is the reaction and how do the players react to the manager? Because
Pochettino said the same thing, that he had a lot of individuals and he had to now try to make them play as a team. But with Neymar now, if he doesn't stay, Julien, are you hearing any other maybe teams that want him for the next season?
Well, certainly we know that he's been offered around the big clubs in Europe. We obviously reported the link with Chelsea. And the fact that I think Todd Boehly, the new owner of the club, wants to make a statement with one superstar signing, whether that's Neymar or Cristiano Ronaldo, or maybe neither of them too, but someone else, that remains to be seen. But certainly there's there's some work being done from PSG to try to find him a club. I think from Neymar's people around him as well, because now I think there's also a feeling that maybe this is the right time to leave if there's a good offer somewhere else. If he has to stay, he will stay. And I think that if Galtier can get the best out of Neymar, depends a lot on the position. I don't think that Neymar can play wide anymore. He doesn't have that kind of impact that he had a few years ago. I don't think Messi can play wide. So one of them will have to play centrally, and I don't think you can play them both centrally. But Galtier will have to work that out with Neymar, with Messi, with Mbappe, with all the others. But certainly, I think the boys are right. Discipline is the key here already. The squad that will leave for Japan, where most of the preseason and the friendlies will be next week, those players will sign there will be a new rules, a new set of rules with regulations and things that they have to follow. And if they don't follow them, there will be sanctions financially, for example, and things like that. So already I like that. And I think already this is necessary. But it all remains to see how much Galtier can implement those rules and what he wants and his authority on that squad and that dressing room, and how much discipline the players follow, because it was a problem under Pochettino, for sure.
In part, is that why they chose him too, Galtier, Julien, so he can actually, put his foot down and discipline players like Neymar?
Yeah, I think that's right. He's a tough coach. He's got that tough personality. He comes from quite a tough area in Marseille, and I think he's got that in him. You don't mess with him. I think the other reason why he's there is his relationship with Luis Campos, the sporting director, where they are really, really close. Whereas in the past, we are used to seeing PSG manager not getting on with the sporting director, whether that was Antero Henrique, Leonardo, Patrick Kluivert, Leonardo in his first spell, but they used to be a bit of tension between the manager and the sporting director. Now that won't be the case. So if there's no tension between them two, if the manager says something, you don't go above to the sporting director anymore, like they used to before, because you know that the sporting director is going to say, hang on a minute, the manager is my guy here, we each are the guys, so if he says something, this has to be the thing, the rule, the position of the club, myself included. Before, Tuchel or Pochettino would say something, they would go above to Leonardo especially, and that would create lots of troubles. Now that won't happen anymore. So again, I think that relationship between sporting director and manager for PSG would be quite interesting and quite important.
I actually don't believe in giving players a rule book because you're just setting yourself up to fail. Now, as far as the sporting director and the boardroom is concerned, that's where you need to have rules, because they need to know who's in charge of what happens at the bottom of the stadium. You can do all you want up in the boardroom, but you don't come down the bottom and you don't get involved with my players or me. But as far as the manager with the players, as I said, having a rule book, to me, you're asking people to break it. You shouldn't need a rule book. All the best teams don't have rule books. They have men. They have people with dignity who know right from wrong. And we all know you should be on time for meetings. We all know you shouldn't be late for the bus. We all know you shouldn't be going out the night before a game. There's nothing you can tell a player that he doesn't actually know. You don't need a rule book or a little sheet of paper with 10 rules on it. Good players and proper professionals don't need rules. I just think you're asking for trouble if you start giving them rules.
However, Stevie, this is a team that has had freedom in the past and has abused that freedom. And so at some point, you got to go back to the very beginning, to the very basic, and say, okay, you guys need a reminder of the things that you can and cannot do. Here it is. So to that point, I would say, okay, if we're going to start from zero, then let's make it very clear as to what is it that we're going to be ruled by, what is it that we're going to abide by, and what is it that we consider to be respectful behavior within the locker room. I think what's happening here is we're going back to square one, and we're going to say, we're going to begin from here, clean slate for everybody, and here are the things that we need to do in order to be successful.
It's up to the manager. The way the manager reacts at all times, from the minute he gets out his car when he parks it in the stadium to when he leaves, tells the players who's in charge. Somebody steps out of line, regardless of the name in the back of the jersey, that's where you make your mark. That's where you make your mark. Nowhere else. And the fact is, all the ones before haven't done it. And maybe that's why they brought this guy in, because this guy's got a reputation for putting his foot down regardless of who you are. That's what they need. Let's see if it happens.
Yeah, let's see if Galtier can do that now with Neymar, with these rules that you're telling us, Julien. Is it specifically because of Neymar's recent past?
Yeah, I don't think it's just targeting at him, but we know that in the past there's been issues there, of course. Stevie mentioned a few of the rules that have been broken before, of players being late, some players not turning up for training, you know, that kind of stuff, which it just cannot work. It cannot work if you let that thing happen and that thing go. And I think certainly Pochettino wanted to take some sanctions. He was not allowed by people above him, whether that was Leonardo or Nasser Al-Khelaifi, the president, or whatever. This is a different era. This is a different time now. Those people are not there anymore. Leonardo is gone. Pochettino is gone. Nasser Al-Khelaifi is still there, but we'll take a step back very much in the way the club is functioning on a daily basis. So now it's down to Campos and Galtier to make sure that those things don't happen, whether it's Neymar or Messi or Mbappe or someone else. No one can be late for the bus, for lunch or dinner, for training, for team meeting, for the physio appointment, anything like that. People have to follow that. And if you have to be tough at the beginning, then maybe you have to be tough at the beginning. But this is certainly something that was not really working before.
Clearly not working, because we know the mission now is and has been for many years to win the Champions League title. Stevie, can they do that with Neymar?
Well, they can do it with the Neymar they bought. You know, the fact that he's turned up early for training is a great sign. You wouldn't put money on that,
right.
That's for sure. He could have had another 3 nights out. He chose not to. That's a good start. But yeah, absolutely, if Neymar gets back to the guy they signed, then yes, they can. They've got the talent. They've got as much talent as anybody else. They just can't quite get it together when it matters most. So yes, they could win it. I'm not putting money on it, but they could win it.
And people out there may think, when we're talking about these rules, like, what does it really matter if you show up late to a training session or to a players meeting or whatever other rule that you broke as a player? But what it does is that it starts creating cracks in the foundation, division within the team. You start then, when things are going smoothly, then everybody's okay, everybody's happy. But when things start going south, those cracks that I just mentioned in the foundation, they start showing up. And in the case of PSG, no better example than what we saw in Champions League last season, where those cracks were already there. We knew they were there. And then in a moment in which they needed everybody to come together, they fell completely apart. So for me, if this team is going to make a deep run and indeed threaten to win Champions League, the foundation has to be solid. No cracks, no fractures, no divisions. Be the concept of a team first, and then allow the talented players in the attack to take over. But unless you have a good foundation, solid foundation, which every other really good team in Europe has, then this team will go nowhere. If you have it, you have a chance. If you don't, they will fail again.
Now, Julien, with that foundation comes, of course, the happiness of the players. How happy is Neymar with relationships with, say, Kylian Mbappe?
They're close. They've always been friends. I don't think that Kylian's sort of new contract, a new position at the heart of this project and being the superstar, and the fact that this is his team very much now, I don't think that really had impacted Neymar, or certainly that's not what I've been told. But maybe, as we explained before and on the show, in previous shows as well, there's a feeling that this could be a good time for him, if there's another project offered to Neymar, to go and to leave and to let Kylian Mbappe and Messi for one more season, you know, take charge of this team and see how far they can go. I think Galtier is going to struggle to play them 3 together. I have to be honest here. I don't think, I'm going to repeat myself, but I don't think Neymar and Messi can play wide anymore and have a real impact on the team, neither with the ball or without the ball. And especially without the ball, we saw last season how unbalanced the team was to try to recover the ball because those 3 don't defend. So I think Galtier will have to make big decisions where you play Messi, where you play Neymar. Can you actually play them 3 together, but not Neymar and Messi wide? Because that's not going to work, especially in the big games in the Champions League. We're not talking about Ligue 1. Ligue 1, Moreno and Steve Nicol can still play for that PSG team and they will win the league. But we mean the big games, the game that matters the most. He will have to find a way of getting the best out of Neymar and Messi. And I'm really not convinced them two can play together anymore because, again, for me, the only solution is one playing centrally behind Kylian Mbappe, for example, in a front two or a 10 just behind Kylian. Because wide, there's no point. And then both of them centrally, again, there's no point. They're going to walk on each other. So it'd be very interesting to see what they do. But for Neymar, this is a huge summer for him. He might end up staying, and we will see then what kind of mindset he has with the World Cup coming up. But he knows he's not the main guy anymore. The main guy will be now Kylian, not him, not Messi. So he will have to deal with it as best as he can if he stays. And if he leaves, I think people at the club will wish him good luck.
I'm pretty sure that was not a compliment for us, Stevie. I don't think.
Sit up,
No,
boys.
he was.
Listen, I need help to get on this share. Never mind playing in the Champions League.
No, he said Ligue 1. Ligue 1, we got it. Champions League, we're not quite cut out for that.
I beg your pardon, you might be right.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.